Hey guys, what's going on? Jason with HOJ Forge. In the spirit of Chandler Dickinson, it's time to need a tool, make a tool. I gotta make a tool. So if you've been following my current series, you know I'm working on this, my version of Thor's new hammer, Stormbreaker. It's a retirement gift for a sergeant in the military. And one of the things I was asked to do was to take these, I keep calling them coins, but they're like lapel pins or something, and they have to be put in. I've got two of these bronze or brass ones and two of these. They're roughly the same size. One's going to go here, the other one's going to go there on each side of the hammer, and then I've got to fuller in the sergeant's insignia right there, and then this has to be all nice and shiny so that they can get it engraved. But right now I've got to figure out how to get these down into the hammer. And my thought is I'm going to make a punch that's roughly the same size as this coin and punch a recess, a divot in there that this will fit in. I'll chop these little prongs off the back and then just epoxy that down in there. This is never going to get used. This is purely a wall hanger, and so I don't have to worry about them being, securely fastened, like someone's actually going to take this out and start banging on rocks or wood or something. They just have to stay in place with some epoxy. But I got to get them deep enough so that they're nice and flush. So I've got this pry bar, and the end of this thing is just about the right size for the coins. I just have to forge that down, take it from octagon to round, and get it to the right size. Now, how am I going to get it to the right size? Well, I've got the coins, but I don't want to get these, or the pins. I've got these. I don't want to get them near the heat while I'm forging this. So I've got to use something else, and I found this flange, and that fits right down inside that flange perfectly. So that's the right size. So if I get this pry bar forged down and ground and nice and round so that it fits right inside the lip of this flange, I think will be just about right. And that way I never have to get that lapel pin near the hot steel, so I don't have to worry about damaging it or anything like that. And then the other thing I want to do before I start punching this hammer that I've already got about 4.5 hours into, maybe even 5, I'm going to get some scrap steel and punch a divot or two and see if I can get them deep enough without distorting the steel too much so that the coins fit in. If this doesn't work, I don't have a plan B, so my fingers are crossed that it works, but I'm just going to go ahead and forge this up real quick and give it a test. Need a tool, make a tool. Let's go. So here I'm just rounding out the end of the pry bar. It's octagon shape, so I need to round it up, and it shouldn't take more than a couple of heats. I didn't cut it yet because I figured I'll just use the pry bar itself as a handle. So I'm using my 2.5 pound hammer here. I should have gone with something a little bigger. But slow and steady wins the race, right? My hope is that just by rounding it off on the anvil, it'll be pretty close to the final size I need it, so it won't take much grinding. I think this is the final heat. I think it only took like 3 heats just to round this end off. It's going to take quite a bit of grinding when all is said and done, but I just need to size it up here.
And at that heat, it's just some planishing blows to get rid of the hammer marks. And here's the test. It's just a hair big, so I think once I get it on the grinder, it'll be good. So I'm gonna lop it off. I'm making it kind of long for compared to all my other punches, but it's because that billet retains so much heat that the further away I can get my hand, the better. So normally I'd make a punch maybe 6 inches. This one I'm starting off like 8 or 9 inches, and I'll draw the end out a little bit when I put it into an octagon here, but quite a bit longer than the other punches I normally use. So this I'm squaring off this end, just trying to draw it out and taper it off just a hair. Probably not necessary for, this is a one-off punch, but it's been months since I've been able to forge anything, and my first project back is that giant hammer, so it was just kind of nice to be able to take a simple round bar and square it off and taper it down and feel like I accomplished something. So I just kept going. I was actually having fun with this. And here I'm doing the corners, turning it into an octagon, because that's what I do to all my punches. And a quick brush. That little thing on the end there looks like a nipple. That'll come off when I grind it. That's just from where I hot cut it. I'm just making sure everything's nice and straight. This, I found that it's almost perfectly the same width as the hammer face that the coins are going to go in. So that's going to be my test piece. Get that heated up, and here's the punch after I ground it down, ready to go. So now I just have to test it out, see if I can punch the divot. And hit number 1, barely did anything. It's a huge surface, compared to like a normal, if I was fullering something, or a normal size punch, you've got a much smaller surface, so the pounds per square inch is amplified. Here it's spread out, so it's actually going to take a lot more heats than I thought. I thought maybe I could get away with it, and 4 or 5 heats I might have something decent punched, but no, it's going to take quite a few. I speed through it here in the video. I don't think I put them all in here, but it probably took me about a dozen heats to get that hole punched down. Some of it was because I was a little tentative in hitting it. Most of it is because that's just a huge surface area to try and punch by hand. You can see it's coming along though. We're getting there. I think this was the final one. Yeah. So it was right about here. I decided that was good enough.
Alrighty, there she is, cooled down. Now, a couple of things I noticed. I was gonna punch the holes after I ground these sides. These edges here are gonna be shiny. That's going to leave me a face about the same width as this, maybe just a hair wider. But I'm definitely going to get some deflection into those edges, which I think I might punch this before I grind it, just so I can take those down a little bit. other than that, you know, it deformed a little bit, which I was expecting it to, but it'll be even on both sides. I'm going to have to do 2 right next to each other. I probably should have tested that to make sure I could do that, but I think I can work that out. So now we just have to see if I can get these to fit in there. So I got to cut these pins off the back. And I may actually grind this part down just a hair. But I think this is what holds on that. So I can't grind it down too far. But maybe I can get it down a little bit. Doesn't matter. This will be the test. Is it going to look good? Is it too big? It is a hair big. It is quite a bit. Not just a hair. There's a lot of play in there, so I may grind that punch down just a little bit. Take a little bit off it, but other than that, that's sitting nice and flush the way I wanted it to. Once it's epoxied in, you know, it's not going to wobble. So we'll see. You know what? I may leave that. I'm going to do the peen texture in between everything, and so that peen texture, once I have these epoxied in there and put some more peening in, I'll punch it before I peen it. That's what I'll do. And that way, when I peen the edges, they'll move in a little bit. And yeah, I think that'll work. I still may take it down just a hair, but proof of concept for the Need a Tool, Make a Tool. I got the tool, so the next step is to do this for real. So that's coming up in a future video, and then I'll also be fullering in the Sergeant's logo, like I said. So that'll be coming up in a future video, and we got to make the handle, and I'm running out of time to get this done. I got to have it done by the end of the month here, and well, depends on when I put this video up, by the end of April, and it's the 22nd right now, so I've got 8 more days. Oh well, there we go. Need a tool, need a tool. Thank you, Chandler Dickinson, for the inspiration, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.